And look, some people that are also highly confused are protesters in Washington, D.C. Vice President JD Vance visited National Guard troops at Union Station in Washington, D.C., and he was greeted by a whole bunch of angry protesters. Have a look. What? I'm honestly concerned for their mental well-being, but who thought just enforcing the law and giving police extra resources on the ground to protect citizens against crime would be so controversial? But what I love is one of the top White House aides, Stephen Miller, was speaking after the protest and called all these people out for basically being white boomer hippies who need to go take a nap.
Most of the citizens who live in Washington, D.C. are black. This is not a city that has had any safety for its black citizens for generations. And President Trump is the one who is fixing that with the support of the Metropolitan Police Department, the support of the National Guard, and our federal law enforcement officers. So we're going to ignore these stupid white hippies that all need to go home and take a nap because they're all over 90 years old, and we're going to get back to the business of protecting the American people and the citizens of Washington, D.C.
You know, seeing those protesters right there reminded me a lot of the Greens that I had to see when I was running for Balmain, and the people you see at a lot of these pro-Palestine protesters, just angry, bitter with the world, old white hippies that peaked in the 1960s, and now they are determined to oppose anything that Trump puts a finger on.
There weren't many of them either, by the way, but they made a lot of noise, as these protesters typically do. I loved JD Vance's face when Stephen Miller was describing these white, washed-up hippies, and the VP just has this smile on his face. I think Donald Trump has given Conservative politicians in the US a lot of confidence to just be bold about what they believe. Don't be intimidated by anybody. Don't be scared of saying what you actually think, even if it's a little controversial. You can be a little cheeky and a little fun. And clearly JD Vance was amused by the description of them as a bunch of white hippies. It's interesting the change that Trump has brought to the Republican movement.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's hilarious because JD Vance is there saying it's kind of bizarre that we have a bunch of old people that are out protesting that we are trying to stop crime. It's just, even when you say that out loud, that they are protesting because we're trying to stop crime.
Yeah, well, he made those comments in an interview with Laura Ingraham. Have a listen to what he said.
They were actually defending the rights of illegal immigrants to come into our country, to vote in our elections, to collect Social Security and Medicaid that ought by right go to American citizens, to say nothing of housing. This is actually the biggest driver of housing costs in some of these big blue cities, is that they've flooded the zone with illegal immigrants. As we've kicked illegal aliens out of our country, you actually see housing costs start to level off. So fundamentally, the difference between Republicans and Democrats is we care about American citizens. They actually don't like American citizens and want to replace them with low-wage foreigners. It's a very stark difference, and I think the American people are going to continue to reward us because of it.
It's funny, Jamie, when you think about the 1960s, right? So people were protesting for civil rights. They were protesting against the Vietnam War. They were protesting for women's rights. In 2025, they're protesting for men to be able to use women's bathrooms. They're protesting for police to be defunded. They're protesting for illegals to be able to flood into a country. The change is just significant. It's almost like this exercise in self-harm these days.
Yeah, isn't it? It's just crazy. You almost have to keep reminding yourself that, yeah, this actually is happening in society at the moment, where everyone has just gone so far in one way. And you said it perfectly, Freya, in that everyone is just so angry these days and finding a reason to protest. And especially, you know, where they're out there with slogans saying free DC and from DC to Palestine and occupation is a crime. And you just think, oh, come on, you're trying to do some good stuff here. And yet they continue to be slammed.